Welcome back to Factorio, and it's time to carry on getting more and more iron and copper, ideally. And we're not going to do it by the same method. You can, and I already have extended this chain of flotation cells all the way up. I've now got 10. I'm eventually going to need 16, so this is going to be double this length. Or even more, because I've replaced these with Mark IIs. However, what I can probably do is just go upgrade to these to Mark IIs as well, and they should match everything again. However, as you can see, this chain, this sort of initial belt is pretty much compressed. This one isn't, that comes out of it, so we do need to think about that. And then, of course, only 2 of these are currently in use. Now, that's close to 3 of the Mark Is, so it's not as bad as it appears. There is iron and copper flowing through our system, but we are getting other waste products that we need to take care of. One of them is sulfur. We've got some nickel and silicon, so we can make glass with that. We don't need nickel at the moment. And all the way up there, you've got blue geodes. So one of the things that we also get out of the ore sorting machines is this slag, and that's going to be the main point of this episode. I think we're going to process that into something more useful. So I may have shown this before, but if not, let's just take a look at what we can actually process it into. Slag slurry is the main thing. So if we're going to make slag slurry, we can use slag and sulfuric acid. So we're going to need to make sulfuric acid somehow. And then from slag slurry, we can convert it into mineral sludge and get to a few things. Let me just check to make sure there's nothing else. It's not really anything else. So from mineral sludge, we can actually get to copper ore and iron ore, which I think I'm going to do to start off with, just because I want to bulk up the amount of ores that we get. So having these put back through, it's going to help, isn't it? So let's give it a go. And of course, if you know better, say so in the comments, and we can go from there. All right. So sulfuric acid then, what can we do to make sulfuric acid? That's just a conversion recipe from different types between Angels and Bobs, so don't worry about that one. We can do this. So sulfur dioxide gas and purified water. We can go via cellulose and algae biomass, but we're not going to need that. We can just take sulfur that we've got in that warehouse, combine it with an iron plate and some purified water, but I don't want to use up the iron plate. I really don't. So we're back to sulfur dioxide, and that's hopefully we've got a recipe that I can actually use. Do I? Yes, good. So I can go in a chemical plant, purified water, sulfur dioxide. And sulfur dioxide is, we don't want lead and oxygen, sulfur and oxygen. And that is in another chemical plant. So we have an oxygen line here and a sulfur plant here. So it seems like we can get away with something along these lines. Do I have a chemical plant? I thought I had one. I thought I'd made one. Hang on, let's just check. Because there's 2 types. I think they'll both do the same thing. Ah, there it is. Okay, so we can get a chemical plant, and we want to take in the sulfur and the oxygen in some way. So let's just put it here, let's say. We can bring the sulfur around either side. That's no big deal. And sulfur. Okay, so sulfur dioxide gas, we want this one, I think. Yeah, sulfur and oxygen gas. Makes sense. So now we just have to feed in sulfur. And we can do that just by just sending this round here. Oops, one more. I'll just use one of the fast ones. There we go. On this end, we'll do the same thing. And make more power poles. And then we just need oxygen, which we have here. So if I just make some pipe, I think we can get away with just that, and then we can just interrupt this line for a second. Then we can just run. Let's just run it this way. It's a lazy man's way, but that should work. So this is going to produce sulfur dioxide gas. from that, we need to produce sulfuric acid. So let's just make another chemical plant. This one's actually slightly faster, but it's more materials. That's okay. I'll go with a slightly faster version. Hopefully that will be means I need to build less infrastructure. So that should pop up any second. There we go. And then let's put you through and let's see, what do we need? Sulfuric acid. So we're going to need water as well. Where will water come in? Okay, so water's going to have to come in at the top. There we go. So we'll get sulfuric acid out of this. So we may as well just put in a power pole. And then I need a source of purified water. Now, I think we have some here. One thing when you're building all of these out, you'll find you'll need more than one hydro plant. It'll run out, essentially. It'll just be all used up by these plants, and you'll probably want a second one. So I've just put a second one in, which means that we do actually have, we can just, if we want to carry on this line, we can just grab purified water from here and then do something with it. So in our case, we don't have to do anything too odd, or do we? Let's actually just sever you for a second. And maybe go there. And then a couple of pipes should do the job. Alright, so that should give us sulfuric acid, and it does. So the slag slurry recipe again is sulfuric acid and slag. Now we can either bring the slag all the way over here to get slag slurry, or we can take the sulfuric acid all the way over there. Because we can go pipe to grounds really quite easily with just some stone bricks, I'm tempted to take the sulfuric acid over there, because we not only have this warehouse full of slag, we also had another one. It's going to come into view anytime now, all the way over here somewhere, where we had our original setup. If you remember from the early episodes, we have this warehouse as well. So that's got 32k and that's got 25k. So we've got over 50k of slag to process and push back through as iron and copper. And of course, here's our iron and copper line going through. So we want to process in this area and then just shove it back onto these lines. So let me go and get some stone bricks, and then I'm going to get the sulfuric acid moved, and we'll do that off camera. Now we can either process this in a chemical plant, or in my case, I'm going to try a liquefier. I'm just going to see how good it is. We can get liquefier Mark II, which is actually something we can now build, and it also happens to be 2.25 crafting speed. So having a much faster crafting speed, I'll take that as good, because we've got a lot of slag to process. The other thing you're going to need sulfuric acid for, by the way, is a battery. So if we have a battery here, we're going to need lead plate, plastic bar, and sulfuric acid. Plastic is a whole chain of let's call it fun. It needs liquid plastic, which goes back through, and we end up getting propene, I think. Yeah, propene. And then you have to go back through that, and you end up going through methanol. And from methanol, we need to go back again to methane. We can get methane from petroleum. Petroleum from... Oh, we can only get petroleum from methane. Okay, so we can ignore that one. Let's just go back. What other sources for methane have we got? Natural gas liquids. So that gets us ethane and butane as well. We can go back through that to get from raw gas, and from that to natural gas. And from natural gas, I don't think there's all that much. So is there anything else? Yeah, there we go. So we can go from raw gas, multi-phase oil, which is the stuff that's actually on the ground, into raw gas into natural gas into methane, into methanol, into propene, into liquid plastic, into plastic. I don't think I'm going to do that this episode. That needs an episode all by itself. But yeah, the plastic is a little bit more involved than in base Factorio, where base Factorio, if I remember rightly, it's just coal and not much else. Yeah, so yeah, and sulfur, I think. Maybe. I can't remember. Base game. Been a while since I played it. Anyway. So let's get the slag processing done first of all. Is that liquefier done? Where did it go? liquefier. Okay, so we can presumably just take in stuff from here. And do I get this? No. Slag slurry, we want one with slag. So that just needs sulfuric acid. Job done. And then we need to just fill in fact, what I probably want to do, just in case we need more of these in future, let's put it there, just so we've got an actual straight pipe to run other pipes off. Okay, and we're going to need some power, of course. So let's just run a power pole up here this way. That'll do. And then we just need to bring in the, we're going to get the slag slurry out this direction, so let's just put you there. And then we need to bring in the slag, so it's going to have to go, well, we can actually just push it this way. If we just bring it this way, reverse everything, we can bring it across. Rotate these around. And we've got an input, which we can then provide straight in using one of these. And we can use Shift E to just say, and by the way, this grid has changed because you got, there's another research topic called more inserters, and that lets you grab from diagonal directions and all kinds of other stuff. So you can do right angle turns and, 40, well, not 45 degree, 135 degree turns and all kinds of stuff. In this case, we can just go for this and it'll feed in just fine. We may actually want it on this side, actually, just thinking about it, because we're going to need to put an input on the other side. So let's just grab you and tell you to do the same thing. All right, so it's producing slag slurry, which is going into this. Then we're going to need to process that somewhere. So let's go and have a look back at our slag slurry. What can we do with it? Well, we can put it through a filtration unit, Mark 1 and Mark 2. We can already make those. We need cold filters, of course, if we do that. What else? Or what else do we need on the ingredients? We can void it. We don't want to void it. I think it's just going to be the cold filter then. Is it? Yep, looks that way. Or a ceramic filter, doesn't really matter, but cold filter should do us. So we can make cold filters, and we also need some purified water, so we could make that locally. Or again, I could try and ship some over from over here, which would be doable, I guess. But let's first of all, I guess, head this way with the slag slurry. So we can just go, oh my, we're going to have to go this direction first and then turn. Okay, I'm going to go and get some more purified water. Okay, so we've got some purified water in this line. So let's put in our filtration unit. I'm guessing, what is it? We've got the slurry input, and that's going to be about here. So hopefully the input for the water is on the top. It's almost certainly that when I ever try to do this, I get it wrong, but let's give it a go. Yes, of course. Never the right way around. Let's just change that input so that we've got that the right way around. Okay, so now we should have room. If I just grab a couple of pieces of pipe. All right, so the purified water's there. We need to bring in the slag slurry this side. So we almost could do with reversing that or moving it pointing this way, but it doesn't matter for now at the moment. We can just turn here. Like that. And we should have all the inputs. At least all the liquid inputs. We're going to cover the other one in a second. Let's bring up some power. It's annoying. It's going to stop one short. Okay, so we've got all the inputs, it looks like, aside from, unfortunately, the cold filter. So we're going to need to get a cold filter running. To do that, we can actually be fairly efficient. I brought some coal up on this belt because we're going to need it. However, what happens is it takes in a coal filter but outputs a filter frame. So we can take the output and feed it back in on itself. So let's just have a look at the filter frame. Yeah, so filter frame is 1 steel and 1 iron, but we only need to make a few because once we've made those, it should be able to be building itself. So coal filter, maybe? Is it full filter? Yes. So it just needs 5 filter frames and it converts into 5 coal filters. So 5 is enough to actually get this to produce. I'm probably going to produce 10 just so that it's got some in stock. And I guess we can just make that with a regular assembly machine, which of course I don't have any on me. Let's just make a couple. Don't need very many. And if we just put a factory, an assembly machine right next door, it should just be able to filter in and out and reproduce those as long as we provide it with coal. So we may well actually want to put coal on the bottom side just to keep everything nice and tidy. So if we have you here, that's going to go there. And let's say we make a coal frame recipe. And then we just feed them back and forward. So if we just do this and this, I'm going to need actually a filter. No, in fact, hang on. Is the only output solid? Yeah, so it should be able to grab that one, and these two will pop at the other side. So if I load you with filter frames and fill you with coal, probably best put a faster one on that just in case. There it goes. It's taking coal filters. It's producing the empty ones. Empty ones are going to be reloaded back into here, and they should circuit back round. It's backed up at the moment, just because this is backed up on the mineral sludge and the sulfuric wastewater. Thankfully, we have really good use for sulfuric wastewater. The only problem is I generally need a place to insert the stuff because it tends to... this is just quite a compact layout, so there's nowhere to really put it. Easiest way to solve that is via something like this, whereby hopefully we have enough room to grab you. And where do we want to bring it? Probably to here, at least. And then we can move up from this direction. Ah, one short. Okay. Never mind. We can put it like that. And then... Okay. So that should be all done. Sulfuric wastewater is being pulled out, hopefully. Yep. So we're left with the next stage, which is mineral sludge. And we should be able to convert that straight into copper and iron ore via a crystallizer, Mark 1 and Mark 2. So what does that take to build? Crystallizer. It's going to take some steel, some clay. Really good thing we made those clay bricks. And this is only Mark 1 as well. Its crafting speed is 1.5, and it just needs steel now. So I can go and grab some steel. And we should have enough to make one, if not more than one, because this is... That's crafting speed of 1.5. Maybe they'll be directly equivalent. We'll give that a go. I need steel. And the reason why I'm doing this, by the way, even though I have this other setup up here at the top, which I showed you last episode, the steel one, there's just not enough iron ore getting to it. In fact, there isn't iron ore getting to it. And in fact, things are backed up again. I think... oh, it's because I started the slag processing and I'm not producing enough of it yet. So let me just grab some steel. I'm not processing the slag, that is. Let's just grab some of you. But that should sort itself very shortly. We just need to make the crystallizer. Let's do that while we head back. Let's make a couple just in case we can use an extra one. Yep, you can see here, because I've basically filled or backfilled the slag side of things, everything is going to just back up until I start this whole process up. That's okay. Hopefully that should happen very shortly now. So let's just extend that. And then we can put the crystallizer. Where are you? Should be up towards the top here if it's sorting alphabetically. It's probably in my toolbar actually. Ah, there they are. There they are. I can see them. Okay, so that just inserts one thing. So let's actually just put you there. Give you some power. And we want to crystallize you. We can choose the ores, actually. That's kind of useful for the future, I guess, if we need lead and tin. But no, let's stay with iron and copper. Takes 8 seconds, so we may well want some more. Let's just get pipe to ground. Not pipe to ground, sorry. It's just regular stone pipes. Okay, you are constantly processing. Let's just see where it backs up to. You... Doesn't matter because you're processing. Okay, how about you? Are you backed up? Looks like you are kind of backed up. So what we may well want is, again, more of these, which of course will produce more slurry. So that's fine. Liquefier Mark II. I should keep an eye on that. We can then put this other crystallizer here, right next door. In fact, right next door, because we want the power. Okay, and then we can just run the pipe across the top. There we go. And then out of here, we can just feed into these same belts. So copper belt's on top, so the copper belt's on top here. So we can just feed straight onto that and then go underneath for the other one. So if we have, say, one here and here, and then the same on this, we can then put a belt here. It shouldn't matter for the side. Oh, let's actually just put them next to each other. Okay. Shouldn't matter that it's only feeding onto half of the side. It shouldn't be fast enough for that. Let's get a few fast inserters. In fact, I'm going to need filter inserters, aren't I? Let's just make some of those. I've got a few already. And we can just copy the settings across from there to this one. And from there to these two. And we still need power. These can then go back on themselves. And we get iron and copper processing. That's going to start up. And how much mineral sludge do we have? We here have an okay amount, but not a huge amount. It's not filling up the pipes. That may mean that we just need to have more slag processing this way, or that we have it processing through this buffer instead of like this. So if I just reverse that for a second, just so we can make sure that the rest of the factories are not, a bottleneck. Let's just, there we go. Oops, reverse these. Do I have any fast inserters? I think I thought I made some. Let's just clear this backlog. There we go. So that should start the iron and copper up. The rest is going to be processed from here. So now we have slag processing. And of course, if we really want to, we can take this warehouse all the way down here, feed the stuff all the way over, because I've moved the iron and copper belt that was over here from the second warehouse. And in fact, that means I can just restore... this is going to be temporary restoration, I guess. But I can restore that belt. And... are you backed up? No, you're plenty of space. Okay, so now everything should be feeding in. All right, so we're dealing with slag processing. That's pretty good. Okay, to cover off what we're going to be doing in the next episode, I think from here we're going to be heading towards the Blue Science Pack, and this is going to take a bit of, well, a bit of fun and games. There's a few, where are you, Blue Science? There you are, Science Pack 3. Engine units, really simple. We can already make those. Bronze plate, I think, is new to this version. I don't remember bronze plate being a recipe for this. Maybe it was, and I'm misremembering, but I remember it just being batteries and electronic circuit boards. Yeah, let me know if I'm wrong. I'm more than happy to hear about it. What's the bronze plate? Well, we can't make bronze yet. It needs bronze researching, which is one of these early ones. That's bronze smelting. There we go. So that needs copper and tin. Maybe that was one of the recipes. Anyway, so we need the Science Pack 3s, which means we need the next tier up of electronic circuit boards. Not the basic electronic boards, the electronic circuit boards. just next here, it's easier to remember, and batteries. Both of those are actually fairly complex. The batteries will take one episode, and electronic circuit boards will at least take one episode. Let's just take a quick look at those over in Whaler, or the equivalent of Whaler. Okay, you're not showing it. Why are you not showing it, circuit? Yeah, we'll just go by circuit. Sometimes it doesn't show up even when you type in the letters that are included in the name. Anyway, we're already making basic electronic components, as you remember. We're already making solder, and both of those are sort of down here somewhere at the bottom of the screen. We're making them for the previous tier. We just need to make transistors and circuit boards. Now, circuit boards are, again, fairly simple, copper and tin. We've already got those. We need to make ferric chloride, which is... that's an interesting bit. It's not terribly hard, at least in concept, iron and hydrogen chloride. But then we have to go down through a whole chain of things for that. Chlorine, hydrogen. Hydrogen is easy to get. We can get that from water. Chlorine, however, we have got to get through a few other things. We can get from saline. We can get it from salt. But yeah, I think we go via saline route. Okay, and then we also need the phenolic board, but that's easy. That's the same, if you like, as the basic board that we had, the insulating board. It just takes wood and resin, which is quite handy, really. So we can probably just go off the existing pipeline down here, right down there at the bottom left. And then, of course, transistors. And transistors are their own fun and games, because to get to them, we need plastic. So that needs us to go through plastics first. Plastics will also let us get to batteries. Tin copper wire we already know how to make. Silicon wafer is the other troubling one. Needs us to go through silicon plate, molten silicon. So it's the blast furnace setup. That should be more straightforward than the rest. The rest often deals with liquids and gases, and we've got to either balance them or store them, or like we've done previously, and I really like the setup whereby we tank them, but we have an output valve that opens when they're 80% full and then drops them into a clarifier. So we never actually, yes, that does waste stuff, but at the same time, we have a storage amount of whatever we put in the tanks. And there's the advanced bronze cell smelting. So that's where we're heading towards, the blue science pack, and that actually does take a fair bit of infrastructure to get going. Once we have that, we'll then be able to go into the blue science research. There's a lot of research to go, but blue science is one of them. And let me just actually start loaders. In particular, that a lot of the bot upgrades are needing blue science. Ooh, artillery. I wonder if that's for the artillery training for 0.16. That's pretty cool. So yeah, a lot of the more advanced bot stuff requires blue science. So you can see worker robot speed. Let's just actually type in robot. That'll be the easiest thing to see. See, a lot of it is all in blue science. So we need that first. If not the actual, well, we don't need combat robotics, but if not purple and other things. So yeah, we're going to get to bots. But to get to bots, we have to go through blue science. So hope you've enjoyed this episode. We've got rid of another byproduct and we're getting more ore out of it. So that's all well and good for me. You're not backing up at all? No. In fact, we can probably get away with... this is full completely. So, and it's not draining. So we can probably put another one of these or two of these maybe on this side or something like that and feed even more ore in. Hope you'll join me for the next episode where we will probably do plastics, I think. And then we'll see where we go from there. Feel free to thumbs up if you've liked it. Subscribe and share, of course, if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments if you want, or if you think I'm doing it in the wrong order in particular. If you think there's a better order to doing this, or a more efficient order, do let me know. Happy to hear your comments. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.